Welcome to Sitting with Shay J. Today we're discussing a critical topic, voter registration and civic engagement, especially in underrepresented communities. So it's an upcoming election. You want to tune into this conversation. And joining me is a very special person that's helping us ensure that every voice is heard. It is the clerk and recorder of the city, Mr. Paul Lopez. Hello there.
How you doing? Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. This is important, and I know I wanted to get on top of it, right? Before it was a little bit in the midst of voting, and I think this is the perfect time to do it.
Yep.
Paul, share why voting is so important to register and why it's a vital part in our communities to be a part of that.
Yeah, well, one, I mean, we're not invisible, right? And I always hear people say, well, my vote doesn't count. Well, I don't matter, and both those things are wrong. One, as the chief elections official for the county, I can ensure you that your vote is counted, and we can prove that to you. And two, it does matter. These elections are close sometimes, right? And so, and even if they're not, like your voice is represented. Like you should not be invisible, right? You think about the sacrifices it's taken for folks who, for example, like my grandfather in World War II, way back when, defended the democracy, or folks who fought in the streets in the South or even here in Denver for us to be able to have the right to vote. Yeah. Now it's on us. And I'm not asking people to, suit up or take to the streets and fight for our right to vote. All I'm asking you to do is just simply fill in your ballot and turn it in.
You make it sound so simple. Now, I know we hear about barriers to voting, whether it's accessibility or misinformation or voter suppression. What efforts are being made to ensure that communities are engaged in this voting process?
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up because, a lot of times people take that for granted, right?
Yeah.
Our vote should never be taken for granted, and our voice should never be taken for granted. And sometimes it gets mundane, and sometimes people get exhausted from all the ads and everything else. But you got to ignore all that and remember that it's your voice. Wow. We are making sure that no matter where you live in Denver, that you have access to a drop box. Just the last one that we opened was over in Globeville for the first time in its history.
Wow.
Right?
That's impressive.
We have 45 of them. But we also have a team and a whole program that's engaged in making sure we are where the people are at, right? In the pulpits, we were outside of fairs, sometimes we are in your neighborhood association, sometimes we are at your back to school night, and we are everywhere and try to, we have an engagement effort with team members that are registering people to vote, reminding you to vote. For a reason. It doesn't matter what neighborhood you live in or what zip code you call home, your voice matters and your access to the democratic process matters, and we're doing everything possible to make sure that that's the case from our end.
I really appreciate that. The accessibility, I've been watching that grow, and really because of your efforts. I also know you work closely with community and grassroots organizations that are really on the front line of voter registrations. Can you tell us about some of those partnerships or initiatives that are really making a difference in increasing voter turnout?
Yeah, I mean, the first one I'm gonna gloat about is DPS.
Ah.
We have a program that's a statewide program, and it's part of what the law says is that you have to have an effort and a registration. Like schools have to have a registrar in their neighborhood, and that, or not in their neighborhood, in their school, to make sure that at least in high school, our young people have access to somebody who knows how to do voter registration and can register you to vote. So we have partnered with DPS to make sure that we are in all the high schools to make sure that our young people who are old enough can register to vote. One, pre-register at 16, but two, if they're old enough to register and vote, that they know how to do it. And so that's one of the partnerships. And then we have a lot of partnerships from so many different folks in the community that I'm really proud of, just so that we can make sure that people know how easy it is to vote in Denver, that they actually vote, that you actually take it to a drop box, and take advantage of the fact that in Colorado, that ballot gets to us 22 days before November 5th. So it'll get to you beginning on October 11th. You have 22 days to turn in to any one of our 45 drop boxes or mail it, and you don't have to stand in line for hours just to be able to cast your ballot.
Wow, I remember the days when you did have to do that, and that was a deterring factor, I'm not going to lie.
People are still doing that.
But yeah, I love the mailbox, okay? It makes me excited. Go drop my thing in the mailbox and keep it moving. I know I've done my due diligence, my civic engagement. when we look at some people, they still don't know who really has the right to vote. They're saying, hey, if I have a felony, hey, if, all these different things, who can vote?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, because if you have any kind of question about who can vote, I mean, the major qualifications, you have to be a U.S. citizen, 18 by the time election day rolls around.
Okay.
You could be 17 right now.
Okay.
As long as your birthday is before or on November 5th, guess what? It's the best birthday present ever, is you get to flex your muscle of democracy. And that'll be your candle, right? Blow it out. There's your ballot, right? Happy birthday. So make sure you're able to vote. Know that you have to be a U.S. citizen, 18 and up, to be able to vote in the elections. Also, there's a lot of questions. Like, if you're unhoused, you can vote. And there's you use your place your place of abode, whether it be, sadly, if it's in a park or it's not a home. Guess what? It is a place. It is a location. Wow. As long as you have a mailing address in terms of where that ballot goes to, so you can access your ballot. And a lot of times it goes to one of the shelters, right? And we work with the population to be, unfortunately, some folks are unhoused, and I know it's a big issue, but it does not mean that they are exempt from democracy or even voting. And also, I've heard a lot of folks say, well, I have a felony in my past, I can't vote. I'm like, yes, you can.
See, I hear that a lot. I don't ever know what to tell them.
Well, because it's different in every different state. But in Colorado, if you are not currently serving a sentence, incarcerated, serving a sentence for a felony, you can vote for the most part, right? I mean, there's some little details here and there. Yeah. And here's the good thing. You can just get on denvervotes.org. If you have any question whatsoever about, am I eligible? What's the cutoff date for affiliation or anything like that? Any kind of question, even some of the crazy stuff that you hear that is misinformation, it's rumor, we clarify that. We have a fact checker on our website. Any questions whatsoever, all you got to do is hit us up.
You're making it so simple for us to vote, everyone. Yeah. Just around the corner, just around the corner is voting time, right? So there are resources and tools available for people who need help registering to understand the voting process. Is there anything particular they need to know about this year's voting process?
Yeah.
Okay, anything that they should be like, hey, I need to be aware of this?
It's going to be a long ballot. We have 560,000 registered voters in Denver County. The ballot in Denver is going to be 6 pages long, so two.
Whoa.
So it's going to be 3 cards, card ballot.
Okay.
I'm going like this, 3-card ballot, double-sided, right? So you're going to have a lot of important information there. Don't just vote on the presidential candidates. There are so many more questions and offices that that you should chime in on. These are important questions. So take the time, fill out your ballot, right? When you return it to us, don't forget to sign the back of that envelope, okay? Mm-hmm. And all you got to do is take it to one of our drop boxes. We have 24-hour secure drop boxes. They're monitored, they're secure, they're amazing, they're so convenient. They'll be open starting October 11th all the way to 7 p.m. on November 5th. Don't wait all the way to the end to vote. Take advantage of the fact that you live in a city where we have not only fought for the right for people to vote, but made it accessible and easy for you to vote. Use that. And remember, there are people in this country that still have to wait 7 hours, stand in line only on election day to be able to cast their ballot. Wow. Do this city some justice. And remember that sacrifice. Remember the sacrifice of people before you. Fill that ballot out, pop it in the drop box, and we take it from there.
I love it. Don't forget to sign the back. Do not. That is serious, guys. Sign the back of your envelope, please. Mm-hmm. Now, I know civic engagement doesn't end with voter registration. How can individuals stay involved and encouraged beyond just casting the ballot?
I love this. I love this question. I really applaud folks who vote every single election. Yeah. Right? And it's easy. It's so easy to participate because all you got to do is fill that ballot out, mail it, or drop it in one of our drop boxes, right? But what are we doing every other day besides election season, right? Mm-hmm. Are we encouraging other people who may be on the fence about registering to vote, who think that they don't matter, who think that they are invisible or who feel invisible? Are we going above and beyond to make sure that we're not just talking about our voice, but also the folks who are often the voiceless, right? The folks who have been burnt out politically, the folks who feel like they are outside of the system, that they do not belong. Encourage folks to participate, to vote, right? It's the least we can do to defend our democracy. But then think of what you're doing in your community leading up to Election Day. What are we doing to make sure that our voices are heard no matter what part of the city we live in?
That's good, Paul. That's good. Whew. For those of you who may feel like this political process, there's a lot going on. I know people are confused. There's a lot of things that are happening during this, especially this voting season. What message do you have to inspire the participants to understand the power of their vote? I know you've spoken to this a lot, but those people that are like, hey, I don't even know which way to go, what can you say to them that keeps them encouraged?
Yeah, don't give up, right? Don't let apathy take over. Apathy is the enemy of democracy. And also, your vote, if you're stuck on one thing or another, and you just remember that your vote is it's not a proposal, it's not a Valentine, right? It's not this is my homecoming day. No. Your vote is a chess move in a larger, and towards a vision in a world in which you want to be part of. It is one move, and you're going to have a lot of moves over the years with your vote, right? Look at it as that, okay? You may not find the perfect candidate, right?
Very true.
But that shouldn't make you apathetic, okay? There are a lot of questions on that ballot. If you get stuck on one thing or you really don't know, move on to the next one, right? But the last thing you want to do is not vote. And here's the other thing too. There's a lot of misinformation out there.
Absolutely.
Don't trust what you're going to see on social media. There's a lot of interference from outside entities that want to undermine the democratic process, that want to paint elections workers and elections officials as somehow crooked or fraudulent. And I could tell you there's nothing that is accurate about those statements. They're very untrue, and all you got to do, if you have any doubt whatsoever about if your vote counts, if it matters, all this other stuff that we talk about, how that works in the system, hit us up, denvervotes.org.
I love it.
Hit up your county clerk. I would love for you to hit us up in Denver, but if you're watching this from another county, hit up your county clerk. They're going to have the accurate information there. It's not our business how you vote. It's our business that you vote.
Boom. That's it right there. That's like a mic drop. And finally, for our viewers who have been watching at home, we want you to get involved. We want to make sure you support this voting process and these voting efforts. What is the best thing to do is to take action to ensure that every voice is heard. Paul, is there anything else you want to leave our audience with?
Vote early. I just want to emphasize, vote early. It's going to be a big election. There's going to be a lot of participation. We're anticipating anywhere between 85 to 90% turnout. I would love to see 100.
That's amazing.
But, like I said, it's a big election. Vote early. Wear that I voted sticker with pride. And get other people to do the same thing. And if you have any questions whatsoever about the process, hit us up. All right, denvervotes.org.
Vote early, people. Thank you so much for sharing your insight with us. The work you've been doing is such an impactful thread of work. I'm watching this, and I've been watching for years, and I'm just proud to see what's happening right here in our city. Everyone, you have access, and it's necessary that you use your voice. For our viewers who haven't registered yet or know someone, get out, get registered, and just get it done. And again, if you have questions, go to denvervotes.org. Remember, your voice matters, and your vote can make a difference. Stay tuned for more conversations that are empowering right here on Sitting with Shay J. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.